There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Tori, and I'm here with Dan Zirk, aka Luca, to talk about the state of Twitter and kind of how things are going lately. Because a lot of things have changed on Twitter, and I feel like a lot of people on my timeline have been panicking as far as the state of it. So first off, Luca, what pronouns do you use, and introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Luca. I use the pronouns he, him. I come from Italy. I study international studies. I'm very close to graduate. And I've been keeping up with information about what's going on with Twitter, especially thanks to intelligence services and journalists in the past month or so.
Awesome. All right. Well, nice to have you on, Luca. So we're going to be talking about Twitter. So first, what are your overall thoughts on the Elon acquisition of Twitter? Just overall.
Overall speaking, it's a clear attempt at trying to be funny by Elon. Clearly failed. So there isn't much to say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that when he originally bought it, he was like more so joking. I don't think he actually like figured that he would be able to buy it. I think he thought that he could get out of it, and then once he was held to the flames a little bit. I feel like he realized he was being forced to do it.
Well, I remember reading an article 2 days ago that mentioned about how he felt like he was forced to buy it. Now, given the fact that we cannot for sure believe what he says for obvious reasons, we have to take whatever he says with a pinch of salt. Still, that would make a kind of sense considering his actions and about how he has been dealing with the overall site up until now.
One thing too is the financial state of Twitter has just been like, I really feel like in the gutter. A lot of advertisers left because it really seems like he started making this website like a safe haven for neo-Nazis and transphobes and just the worst people. And if you're an advertiser, you don't want to put your content on there. So it's like he bought the platform for so much money, and he's done nothing but like drive down the value repeatedly over and over again.
Well, absolutely. This is what has been happening in the past months. Between cutting the number of employees working at Twitter, between the fact that a lot of the advertisers have been going away, as you've mentioned, and the fact that a lot of users are not buying Twitter Blue, but we'll get that later. This platform is on a track course to absolute disaster.
Yeah, I agree. So first, we're going to be going into the bad changes to Twitter. So I think first we should talk about like the algorithm changes. And so it really feels like Twitter is different every week. It's not consistent. The platform, the way that it works is constantly changing. My content seems to be doing well, but I think that's mostly because right now Elon is boosting political Twitter. So like everyone, a lot of people that I've talked to say that their entire timeline is just all politics. And it's been that way for a while. Like he's made some edits to the algorithm to change things, but it really feels like the overall theme is increasing the amount of politics people see on their timeline. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't see this update much about politics, but rather about replies, because I've been seeing a lot of people. You know how usually people try to flirt with each other on pictures of each other and such. Especially those comments, for example, I've been seeing many comments like those appearing on my timeline for up to 2 hours because they were constantly going back and forth and they would constantly appear. That's basically the issue. The issue right now is that replies and replies to the replies are massively boosted accordingly to some sources. As a result, what you may say think it's a politics aimed update, that's only because most of the times politics are the subject of discussion. As such, they will require more replies and back and forth. But like in general, it's damaging anyone really because I've seen many people that, like for example, people that do OnlyFans or Fansly. I've been seeing them; they have been suffering the most, and with pictures, videos, and such getting much less boosting in the algorithm, according to some sources, of course, because it isn't always 100% clear what the algorithm is doing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been changing so often, you know.
Yeah.
And the recurring theme that I've seen is I think that Elon is trying to fit the algorithm around political discussion being boosted, and I feel like he's made little changes here and there for that. Because like the boost that I've had in my own content is not normal. I'm 100% being boosted by whatever changes Elon has made to his algorithm. And it's really weird to see like my content doing well, but seeing other people that do pretty much the same content they've been doing for a while and have been popular just suddenly lose all their traction. And I really feel like the issue I have is that what's nice about Twitter as a platform is the variety. Like I can look and see gaming niche interests. I can look and I can see, I don't know, pictures of friends and stuff that I like. I can see political content. There's a variety of content to view. And what's happening right now is the only content that is being put forward is this like political content or like people that have Twitter Blue that I don't care about, you know? And I just feel like the platform itself is getting so much worse. And I have heard so many people tell me that they've been thinking of leaving the platform entirely because like, well, their job's tied to it and it's not working anymore. We did see two NPR leave. NPR left the platform entirely. What did you think about that, NPR leaving?
Well, it's depend. There are two main lines of thought of this because I talked about this with someone else already in the past. One line of thought goes that the fact that NPR got labeled as a state-funded business is not a bad thing because they do receive funding from the state, even if very little. So by going by this logic, these kind of the people who think like this argue that every single business on Twitter should be labeled like that. Should they actually receive funding, which is either no one or all logic. I'm more of the opinion that there needs to be a strong distinction between NPR and RT News, for example. RT News, for those that don't know, is Russia Today News, which is basically a news outlet used by Russia for obvious propaganda motives. It has been censored in the entirety of Europe, as a matter of fact, following the invasion to Ukraine. And it has been labeled as like state-funded media. But that was already prior to the acquisition of Twitter by Musk. Right now, what Musk is doing is blurring the lines of what does state-funded media mean when you have like the New York Times without a checkmark, for example, right now for some reason, and NPR instead getting say funded. It seems like a lot of petty actions. So with New York Times being taken away the check marker, which didn't get taken away by some legacy accounts, and instead NPR being treated as state funded like it was RT News. Kind of seems like a series of petty actions done just to prove a point. What that point is unclear.
I think that I really think that what Musk is doing is really going off the cuff. I don't think there's a clear pattern to really anything he's been doing. He's just been like winging it the entire time. And I think the NPR move is just because he doesn't like NPR. And that's it. Like, I just think he's really, really petty and just decided, hey, it's time to do this. But the problem is when you get publications like NPR to just drop all stuff on Twitter, that is a problem because
Absolutely.
you can see other journalists and other like media platforms like NPR just start dropping too. And then suddenly it's a domino effect where, oh, well, the only reason, say, if I was a journalist on this platform is to promote my work and there's not a lot of other people on here doing that now, you go away. So I really feel like a lot of the actions he's been doing by being petty is just further like fucking himself out of money, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the thing that said to you before, which this platform is on a track course to disaster. Because unless Twitter finds some kind of other ways of funding itself, it's losing a lot of money right now. With Twitter
Mm-hmm.
Blue not having any success for obvious reasons, advertisers leaving the platform, and the users as well leaving the platform. It's honestly difficult to watch the future of Twitter in a positive light.
Mm-hmm. And someone in chat actually said too that the National Weather Service can no longer post automated warnings
Oh yeah, the thing
because
about
of the
Twitter API.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good change to talk about that we can go into next. I think that was a bad change. Um, like the API change, in my opinion, was insane because if I recall correctly, the current Twitter app was actually like someone like designed that and made it, and then Twitter just sort of like adopted it. And then there's also a plethora of other tools that have been made, like TweetDeck. There's several apps on the App Store that people use. Like one of the cool things about Twitter, and the reason why it showed Twitter for iPhone or Twitter for TweetDeck, that was to give credit to the people that worked on those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having something open like that where people can design things and make the platform better and apply those tools is something that's important. And it really feels like Elon, like, I don't like, he's so desperate for money, but he doesn't realize the things that he needs to do to make the platform profitable.
The point is that he's so. I don't know if you know this, but already prior to the acquisition of Twitter officially, Musk already kind of made his plans about Twitter public, and he already said already in June 2022, if I remember correctly, or July, or something along those lines, that the focus was on making Twitter a super app. A super app like WeChat in China, an app that could basically do anything. The very fact that Musk is monetizing every single aspect of it, almost basically, we're like 1 inch away from also monetizing the number of tweets you can make in a day. Like the fact that Musk is basically monetizing every possible thing that can come up in your mind, it's proof of that direction. He just wants to make everything pay like that you have to pay for. And I remember also reading an article saying that the prices for the Twitter API are absolutely insane as well.
Yeah, the number that someone said like $49,000 or something like that a month. I'm not sure if that's just for the really, really big businesses, but that like a lot of these little tools that people have made are like small individual people. There's no way that they can afford that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, some time ago, I thought about deleting my entire history, like Redact, and then I remember, wait, Redact doesn't fucking work anymore.
Yep, nope. A lot of those tools don't work anymore, and it's really unfortunate. Because some of those tools too were very useful for like stopping harassment, for example. Like there were several times where I would get dogpiled by like neo-Nazis or huge transphobe accounts, and I could just one click just block all those people, be good, and now you pretty much just have to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But this Nazi problem you mentioned is just part of a bigger issue that Twitter has been going for, which is the increased number of hate speech on the platform.
Yeah, the we'll get to hate speech in a second, but also one thing I want to mention is the view counter. I feel like the view counter is something that genuinely causes people brain worms, and I think it's actually one of like the worst additions that he's added. Because like genuinely, like not when I would before that change was made, when I would look at my timeline, I wouldn't really care what other people are their views were, and I still don't, but there are a lot of people that do now because they can see how other people's posts are doing. And I feel like, excuse me, it makes people self-conscious of how their posts are doing. So I think overall, like it's like a combined, like the algorithm changed, there's a view counter now, he hasn't really added anything to the platform. He's kind of just placed things behind a paywall with Twitter Blue and boosting engagement through it. And I just feel like overall the vibe of Twitter right now is negative because of literally everything that he's done.
Well, if you remember correctly, Musk put originally the views update to prove a point. He wanted to show everyone that the majority of people don't actually interact with your posts. But like, okay, you proved their point. Remove it now. But like, generally, yes, I can safely tell you this. I can say for certain, but this has been touching me and many other people in terms of views. I've always struggled a lot with the algorithm for reasons to me, but I have no clue for. And the view counter actually proved to me that people actually don't see my posts. I received many times comments of people saying, "Hey, I don't see your posts anymore," even though I was not shadow banned at the time. I now have full confirmation that people genuinely don't receive my posts. So there's really nothing I can do besides posting into the void. But going back to a comment I saw in the chat by James is the founder. My honest recommendation is that if you're being dogpiled, just try to leave a conversation. There is a setting that allows you to do that. Just leave a conversation. Where even if you muted every single individual in the thread, it's going to take you much more time. Just leave a conversation, take care of your mental health, honestly.
Yeah, I usually leave conversation, or I just mute the conversation. Either or really works. And one thing too, with a lot of just harassment in general on the platform, is usually engaging with the people makes everything 10 times worse. Now I do it because I'm used to getting like hundreds, thousands of angry people in my replies. So I've just kind of like mentally turn off my brain when I look at some of these comments. But for a lot of smaller accounts, the increase in transphobia has made like the site way more toxic to be on, especially for trans people, because the rhetoric of trans stuff, anti-trans stuff is increasing, and people in their timeline just see nonstop transphobia all day.
Yeah, the platform has become more transphobic in practice. Remember the original For You setting by Musk was that you would be shown opinions from accounts that would disagree with you. That was the original intention. Here's the thing. The For You bar is absolutely messed up because if you do the mistake of even trying to fight against the rhetoric that these people use, the For You tab and algorithm is going to recognize that, hey, you interacted with a post. As such, I'm going to show you more of that content. So the result is that if you ever try to fight back against it, because you may be of the opinion that you need to fight back against it, but you're still touched by it for obvious reasons, you're basically hurting yourself. And the only real strategy to stop seeing this content is to just fall even deeper into an echo chamber by completely not interacting with it all. So basically, the For You tab right now has become an even stronger echo chamber producer than it was compared to the past.
Yeah, and the thing is too is trying to interact outside the niche circle that you're in is like impossible because you get so deboosted. So like for example, I'm on political slash trans activist Twitter. That's the circle that I'm in. If I try engaging with like video game content or posting selfies or you know what I mean, like of that nature, like I wouldn't get much interactions because of the way that
Yeah.
Elon has favored the algorithm of it's like once it figures out what you're posting in, it is really hard to go outside of that at all.
Look, I'll give you an example of what I mean. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I made a post 12 hours ago, so today on quotes, where I said just I hate Twitter, I hate Twitter, I hate Twitter in relation to the Stalin post. Okay, that post
Mm-hmm.
got 4,665 views. Okay, I made a tweet at 7 hours ago, which was about Final Fantasy 12. It got 665 views, and I've got a total of 10,900 followers. Now you can say 10,000 of them are bots. Okay, that's fine. Still, 300 of those 900 didn't receive my post, and I'm proving you here with an example. What happens to me is sometimes multiplied in effect for some people I know, especially those that use Twitter as a platform to then boost their other sites, like for example Patreon, for example Patreon, Fansly, and all of that. So like in general, besides a few accounts like Cathard, you, there was this other guy that I follow, which gets a lot of likes, and like other accounts that appear a lot on the timeline, like for example Shitpost Gateway. Besides those accounts, it's like borderline impossible to go viral anymore for many people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah. Like I feel like I've been really lucky with my account because I'm just still getting boosted like crazy, and I don't really know why. But I see a lot of people that are getting suppressed, especially people that do stuff like OnlyFans or that kind of
Yeah.
content.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I didn't want to sound specific discriminatory to them because there are also other examples like artists. But yeah, especially OnlyFans models, as I see in the comment sections, are being specifically affected by this.
yeah. So we'll move on now to hate speech. I feel like it was really funny when Musk brought up that one little graph. He's like, look, hate speech is the lowest it's ever been. And it's like, okay, you probably filtered something out, which is transphobia. Because transphobia is the worst it has ever been on this platform. Ever. Like, we are at a time where there is an active, like, attempted genocide of trans people within the United States. You have people having to literally flee their homes, and the largest social media platform just allows people to like laugh, poke fingers at this happening, advocate for like literal genocide of transgender people all the time on the platform. And meanwhile, you say one mean thing to defend yourself and you get suspended or timed out. It's like, it is ridiculous how bad the platform has gotten so quickly since Musk came over.
Absolutely. So, before we actually enter the stream, people, I said it to Tori how dumb I am for not actually bookmarking anything. For once, I actually bookmarked something, and that was a study by Brianna, who actually shared. I'm going to post the link of the study in the comment section like on your Discord, Tori, so you can like spam it on your chat, because I'm currently watching your stream with my real life account and I don't want to get doxxed myself. But like in shorts, what the study has shown is that both the number of bots, both hate speech, and also like the number of hateful accounts has not been reduced in any way. As a matter of fact, they have increased. All of these things have increased. So it's really important to understand that, like, right now, there are quite literally, there was this post that I saw, someone getting unsuspended for just saying that I was suspended for my right-wing beliefs. So, you know, there's that going on as well. And
yeah, I really hate where Twitter has gone. I feel like it was in such a good place before Musk took over. Like, genuinely, I think the platform was at the best it's been in a while before he took over. And I really feel like his greed, like, to try making more money has fucked him. And then now he's trying to play favoritism to the people that he somewhat likes and sees continuing to get views, which is a lot of horrible people like neo-Nazis and transphobes and everything else. And by continuing to cater to those people and increasing the hate speech, he further ruins his own like money, because no one wants to advertise on a platform like this.
yeah, and what you're saying is absolutely right. It's objectively right. And as a matter of fact, as I see in the comment section, Plant said, I'm so annoyed that there is no real alternative for Twitter. The very reason why Musk is also allowed to do the mess he's doing is because there really isn't any alternative for Twitter. There isn't any competition. There isn't any other site that is putting Twitter into pressuring for good updates. There is nothing. Like, Facebook has also opened their own subscription program, and it's also plagued with issues. Instagram is mainly a photo application, and has also started its own payment system, a subscription system. And what else does it remain? There was the talk of Mastodon some time ago, but Mastodon also failed miserably because of how confusionary it is as a site, and it's not centralized in any way. So it becomes a lot like Discord, a lot of many small servers, but like you don't have Twitter, you have just Discord 2.0.
Yeah.
And I feel like the big oh, by the way, I see the chat saying Zelfi utterly said, didn't Gleaner get sus this morning? I know you're going to be extremely happy to hear this, but his account got reinstated, so you're free to bully him as you please again.
But yeah, the hate speech has been getting just vastly worse, and I feel like that's part of the reason why the vibe on Twitter isn't really good, because people just see that negativity blasted onto their timeline so often. And I've even had people reach out to me because I cover a lot of that content, but I cover that content because that online content, we have to directly talk against it. That's actually been one of the most frustrating things, is like, it sucks because of the way the algorithm is, but we have to speak out against this rhetoric, because a lot of normies are going to be looking at Twitter and seeing this stuff on their timelines, and we have to have some type of argument against it, you know?
Completely agreed.
And it sucks. Like, is it fun to have to engage with basically horrid stuff from bigots all the time? No, but it has gotten to a point where very important like people are now noticing. And a good thing recently was Mr. Beast defending Chris, who just came out as I believe is gender non-conforming and started HRT, which is great. I'm happy for them. But seeing Mr. Beast say, I'm getting really pissed off at this transphobia, it's because these people have seen this all the time, and then they met a trans person, and they're like, they're like, whoa, okay, so these people are just like out there. like way out there. Why is this allowed on here? And having normies be able to understand and process that is really important, especially for someone of like Mr. B size, who has like literal millions of people that watch him.
Yeah, look, when you approach Twitter right now as a trans person, you have a binary in front of you. You can either completely isolate yourself from politics, which is what a mutual of mine has done. They have unfollowed me by saying simply that they want to stop pursuing political accounts, which is a completely valid choice. And that is, as I said, one of the two choices. The other choice is interact with the mess that is Twitter right now and try to basically fight against the waves of negativity that appear. I am personally more inclined towards one of the two choices. The point is that these are the two choices. And people just have to take them, whether they like it or not. There is a third choice, which is being a part of a problem, but hey, that is, of course, an obvious thing, so I'm not gonna mention it. But like in general, I can safely tell you, I'm not going to judge anybody for taking any choice.
Yeah, I won't either. I think for a lot of people, it's engaging with that type of content can be damaging to your mental health. I've just been so used to getting so much shit on Twitter in general that it's become normal for me to have that. Mm-hmm. So it's not something that really bothers me much anymore, but it does for a lot of people. What we'll move on to now, though, is misinformation. Mm-hmm. Misinformation, I feel like, is flourishing on Twitter. It like the community notes. I will say, community notes has caught some of the stuff that I've seen come up, but it hasn't caught everything. And I feel like some blatant misinformation, especially vaccine stuff, is really, really bad on Twitter. Like it's just blatantly just allowed to lie about vaccines working and their efficacy, just everything.
Yeah, so in general, throughout the 2 years and a half that I've been active on Twitter, I can say I've been always a very strong advocate against misinformation of any kind, especially because after the Brexit election happened and there was a journalist that made a study about it. This is a small parenthesis, but basically they showed how an entire city that was kept alive by the European Union, and there were signs everywhere on the road saying how much the EU funds this city. Despite all of this, because of a massive amount of fake news on Facebook, over 64% of the population of that city succumbed to fake news and voted to leave the EU with fake news like they were being assaulted by immigrants, and the actual immigrant in that city was a Polish woman which approached the city already 30 years prior. But like the problem with misinformation is that it's just genuinely jeopardizing our good well-being. It's also jeopardizing minorities as a result as well, especially especially LGBTQIA plus related minorities are being hurt the most by misinformation. And also, like, it's absurd how effective it is around conservative circles.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things, I really feel like all the misinformation around trans issues are just nothing really happens at all. Like the amount of times I keep seeing Republicans say that puberty blockers are chemical castration drugs.
Yeah.
And that is blatantly false. They've been using cis kids for so long and no one cared till trans kids got them. And it's because they just hate trans people. That's it. The people that spread that type of misinformation, they hate you.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they say it, is they just hate you. And the thing is on a platform, that type of hatred cannot be allowed to flourish and spread so much information because it causes harm of that group. We're seeing Matt Walsh on Twitter, Ben Shapiro, a lot of these really, really big transphobic accounts spread this misinformation. It reaches millions of people. It pushes the rhetoric even more. You see senators, House reps see it, and they go ahead and pass legislation that is based on a falsehood. And this type of stuff should not be allowed on this platform, like blatant misinformation like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. The solution would be to make more people give access to community notes. The issue is that community notes is only given to Twitter Blue. So we're back to square one. Also, to address a small comment I saw, Zelfie Autola saying, this circles back into the API issue, misinformation networks can no longer be tracked. I retweeted, I think 2 hours ago, a post that basically talked about how a group of journalists found a misinformation network of an ex-US soldier that was faking to be a woman from the Donbass region and fooled thousands of conservative pundits. But that's just, and the jumps they had to go through to find this information and the network that was behind it, it was absurd. But regardless of that, I actually wanted to make a small parenthesis in relation to only people with blue having access to community notes. We should really talk also about how much Twitter Blue actually fucking costs.
It's been increasing. I remember when I bought Twitter Blue originally, it was like $2 or $3. It was like literally the cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. It was less than that. And there was cool features with it that were worth buying. So one of the features was ad-free articles, which was very useful as a political account to be able to just like open an article on Twitter, not deal with ads and just view them. Some of the little like customizing colors and things like that, little things for like a few dollars, it was useful to me. But now it really seems like he's just turned Twitter Blue into a way like, oh, well, if you're not a bot, you're going to spend $15 a month or something like that on Twitter Blue. And like the bigger accounts will spend money on Twitter Blue because, well, part of it for some people, it's their job. If you do activism, you want your activism to be seen by people. But your average everyday user has literally zero incentive to really buy Blue. Like for larger accounts, I think it makes sense. But if you're a small account, like there's really no point in having it.
Yeah, which is why then you find articles like this says Twitter Blue subscription failing, less than 5% conversion rate. Like we're talking about the crumbs of bread that are subscribing, and the majority of those that subscribe are also not the major creators.
Yeah. I really feel like Blue is probably one of the dumbest things that he did in terms of change. He literally would have done better for the platform financially if he changed literally nothing and just took over the platform. Like genuinely, if he didn't fire anybody, he just left all of the current leadership that was there and people and just was like, I own the company now. He probably would have been way better off.
Yeah. I want to give you an example of what I'm saying, okay? For starters, the prices are completely fucked all around. For example, there are different pricings for phone and web, which makes no sense. I personally don't know this still. I don't know if you pay on web, you also get it on phone. I'm not sure of this.
It does work vice versa. I've tested that.
Okay, but like for example, a lot of countries don't have actual conversion rates that make any sense. Like like on iOS and Android pricing, in the United States for both it's $11. Okay, UK £11, Canada $15, Australia $19, New Zealand $19, and then the entirety of Europe is $11. What? Like last I checked, the euro is like it should be much cheaper in terms of euro because 11 euros are a lot more than $11.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am paying, like if I pay the full price, I would pay around 130 euros a year. And considering I don't have any kind of income because I'm still a student, kind of impossible for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing to talk about is the subscribers feature, which is basically just super follows. So Elon pushed this out recently. And what this is do you know, like next to people's little follow button, there's that purple little super follow thing, but now says subscriber. What Elon is trying to do is push exclusive tweets. That's his next scheme to make money. Is you can donate to someone like $3, $5, etc., and you get access to private tweets that only you can see. And this is really, really dumb.
Honestly, the only thing one can do is point and laugh.
Like what this could have been implemented to, which would have been better, is just like, hey, if you like this user, you can donate to them. And it like part of it goes to Twitter for upkeep. You know, like that would be cool. You know,
and that is already present because there is already the donation function. Like at best, you could have done something like that YouTube does, whereby you can give content creators, or at least Twitter users, the ability to basically create exclusive content, but in a like, for example, emotes or like things like that they can use when commenting or interacting with the user. Like that would have made sense, but this way you're just doing another dumb action to try and gather some money, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think in general, the way that they've implemented, no one's really going to use it. I actually applied for it just to see what it looks like, and even I'm curious if they even approve me, and I don't think that they're going to, because I don't think that they want trans people to like make money on their platform, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm not expecting to hear back anything about that application.
Keep us updated on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mainly did it just to see if it works. I'm not going to be posting private tweets or anything like that to paid people. That's dumb. I would never do that. But okay, last thing we're going to end off here is the future. Where do you think Twitter is headed? Do you think it's going to get better? Do you think it's going to get worse?
I do think it's going to get worse because, as a matter of fact, right now I made a post 2 days ago about how Musk has been isolating himself more and more into an echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And when the very goddamn CEO of your social network is in an echo chamber, it's done. Like, almost like a half a year to say just fuck it up. In my opinion, like in 6 months we may actually be in a much better situation, but I genuinely believe that like in the span of 6 months / a year we're going to see Twitter either collapse or change in a way which will be impossible to use for the vast majority of users because it will be too extremely monetized.
So I think what's probably going to happen is that Elon is going to basically financially destroy himself trying to make Twitter work. And I think what probably is going to happen is that he's either going to sell the platform off, or that he's going to introduce someone, probably like right-leaning centrist type person, to control the platform, and then Twitter will kind of sort of go back to kind of what it was before, if not a tiny bit worse.
You
That's
know
kind of
why it
it's
won't?
where that's where I think the platform is probably going. I think that he either sells it off or he puts someone in power
You
to
know,
take over for him.
you know why it won't happen? Because I don't know if you remember, but already when there was the incredible famous vote about whether he should step down or not. By the way, he still has to step down. Close parenthesis. During the vote and the following days, he said that he was searching for someone that could substitute him, right? But he said if were he to be substituted, was he to be substituted, he would just fall down to the technicians team, to the developer team. So basically, he's just still there. So basically, what would happen is that he would still be there. He would just find someone to take the heat of bad changes, but bad changes will still keep going. Which is why, in my opinion, right now, the only real possibility is for actually, unironically, for a new social platform to rise, similar to Twitter. And I'm unironically at this point close to begging for someone to make it, because
Yeah.
it's only going to get worse, in my opinion.
I honestly don't see an alternative to Twitter coming up anytime soon. I think Twitter was one of those platforms that is just so unique in the way that it's built and done. And I also feel like it already has such a huge sense of community that that's the main reason why people have stayed. Is because
Oh, absolutely.
all my friends are here. If I leave to another platform, am I going to do as well there? I'm going to be like the only one there. There's no clear alternative, so people haven't really switched. And I don't know if there's going to be a clear alternative.
Absolutely,
So
I feel like there isn't going to be an alternative soon, but I'm genuinely hoping someone is programming it, because at this point we're really talking about the fact that we are like one step away from having even tweets, a
mhm.
limit to daily tweets. Um, Remember yesterday there was supposed to come out like the update about the For You section was supposed to come out. He said he would roll out a modified version of it, and that still hasn't come out of it. So like I feel like as someone said, the fact that there isn't any certainty about Twitter is what's making many people considering leaving. And honestly, I've considered that myself many times, because sure, I may be the 0.01% of Twitter with 10,000 followers, but the majority of my followers don't see my posts anyways, for some reason
Mhm.
that is beyond me. And like even if they were to see my posts, I would have to see a lot of friends suffering because of low engagement, and
Mhm.
it's honestly just a mess, to be fair, especially for people that need a healthy Twitter to work, quite literally.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a good place to end off on. So we went almost 50 minutes, which was kind of about where I expected us to land. With all
Hmm.
the topics that we had. So it's definitely really good speaking with you, and definitely want to speak with you again in the future on stream.
Of course,
Um,
anytime you know where to find me. I also want to
mhm.
thank you, especially for having me here. I truly thank you for the patience also. And I also want to thank chat for being, you know, to participate in the discussion and being so nice. Thank you. Thanks to all of you from the bottom of my heart.
All right, so you can go ahead if you want and share socials or anything where people can find you and see your content.
Um, I once again you should do it for me because I'm on my IRL account and I don't want to dox myself once again.
Okay.
This is
I just meant
this,
like your Twitter or
yeah.
stuff like
This is
that.
it. This is it.
Okay. So you can find Luca at Dan Zerk. Oh, I'm not going to be leaving yet, y'all. But so I went ahead and I threw his at in there.
Thank you, everyone, and have a beautiful continue of the day, afternoon, or night, Tori. Stay safe.
Yeah, definitely. You stay safe too.